I'm very grateful to Neil Farwell who supported me at the Mythic tier and brings you today's video. Ruric Thar Unbowed versus Kenrith, Massacre Girl and Be'lakor. Not the best opener we could hope for. We're going to miss double green to get into things like Prowling Serpapard, but I like the Mana Vault, try and get down our commander early, probably eats removal immediately unfortunately, but I'll try and keep it. Draw into Command Tower, so that fixes our colours. We'll grab a Surveil land. Goro will give haste. We only have a few haste enablers in the deck, so it's not all that incredible to draw into, but I think we're best keeping hold of it. Turn 1 Sol Ring for the Grixis deck. Another Surveil land over here, Shadowy Backstreet, throwing away an energy trap. So we draw into Goro. I think we're probably going Prowling Serpapard next turn, and then it can be 4 lands in play by turn 4, drop Mana Vault into our commander, should be fine. Bloodspeaker is not a demon, but is one of the old ogres that cares about demons. You can sacrifice it if you do search for a demon, put it into hand. Kenrith just continuing to throw out tap lands, Massacre Girl not doing too much of anything either, so I'm hoping my opponents aren't just holding up interaction for us. Let's see, we've got the new Thornspire Verge, and we do control a mountain and a forest, so throw that in, and it can be the Prowling Serpapard. That will at least keep our creatures from being countered. And there is blue mana being held up, and he was holding up priority as well, so not sure if he's holding up counter magic. Could be Arcane Denial or Dovin's Veto, something like that. Anyway, Bloodspeaker likely going to be sacrificed in order to tutor for a demon here. And when a demon enters under his control, he can return this from graveyard to hand. Searched for Great Unclean One, but just plays a tap land this turn, so unable to play it. Instead decides on another demon, Plague Drone. So he's gone for some kind of 40k variant seemingly. So when that enters, he'll get the ogre back into hand. This is if an opponent would gain life, they lose that much instead. Don't think we've got any life gain in this list. Skim Render from the mono black player is able to put 3 minus counters on something, so alright, puts it on the demon. Was thinking we were going to lose out on something there. And now see Sarkhan's Unsealing for the Kenrith player, so could be one of lots and lots of different deck styles this. No idea what he's looking to do, but we'll assume it's big creatures. Tend to see this in Cascade and decks like that where you get lots of free spells. Anyway, there's a Beast Whisperer for us. I think I'd like to get down the commander sooner than later, so let's try a Mana Vault. I'm assuming it's going to come down, all our opponents are tapped out. And then can we go for Arena of Glory and exert it? Because we're not going to have the mana for Goro. Because next turn we're probably just looking at, let's see, we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4 mana. So it would have been nice to get this down with haste, but I don't think we can do that regardless. So it's probably just a 4-drop anyway, meaning we can exert for Ruric Thar here. The trouble with this deck has been not getting into the ramp in the early game, and unfortunately that trend seems to continue. Might have to rebuild it as some kind of stacks variant, much as I don't really want to play stacks. So let's spread some damage around here. We can take that in at the middle, Prowling Serpapard to the right, and the 2/2 Goro at the demon player. See if he wants to block with Skim Render or not, because unusually I always think we have trample on this, but it's vigilance and reach, there's no trample. More blockers we can get out of the way the better, but seems as though he's holding on to Skim Render for when it has Wither. Might have been an idea to set up with Sarith before getting down our commander on the next turn, especially if we can give it haste, but I don't know, I want to see some damage from Ruric Thar and non-creature spells in the early game, even if it encourages someone to cast a board wipe. Varragoth Bloodsky Sire is another demon, and this one can tutor when it swings. Unfortunately that does mean that there's a death touching blocker in the way, could make it difficult. Ruric Thar does have to swing in every turn. So let's see here, Incremental Blight, it's 1, 2 and 3 minus counters distributed, so we'll assume it's 3 on the commander. Goro's going down? Yeah. And the Varragoth went down as well. Oh, okay. So it was 3 on here, 2 on our haste enabler, which ended up doing nothing. And Ruric Thar is now a 5/5. Had him take 6 damage in order to do that though. Ellie and Alan Paleontologists. So tap, exile a creature from your graveyard, discover X, where X is the mana value. Can only do it as a sorcery though. Don't have any creatures in their graveyard at all yet. So it looks as though we've managed to actually stick our commander for a turn cycle, which is unusual. And there's Blasphemous Act, one of the few non-creature, non-land cards in the deck. This is exerted, so it remains tapped. I think we're best getting Sarith into play. Feels bad playing creatures without Beast Whisperer, but we've just drawn into it at the wrong time. I think Sarith to put Hexproof on our commander is good. Priority being held up by the demon player, so I might want to point removal at Ruric in response. Alright, but that's allowed into play, and thanks to the Vigilance we don't have to tap it down to attack. So we'll continue to swing down the middle. We'll take the 4-3 into the right, because if he wants to block with that creature, then we're going to have Death Touch, I think. Yeah, tapped creatures have Death Touch. Deciding to block with Skim Render this time. That's fine, at least it doesn't have Wither. The Great Unclean One enters play. At the beginning of your end step, each opponent loses 2 life. And then they make some demon tokens, so have a couple of 1/3s in play. Let's see what Massacre Girl can do. Does play his commander, 2 mana held up. Kenrith into play, and cast that. So that is 4 damage to any target, unfortunately. Able to deal with our Sarith straight away. So wants to be taking Hexproof off the Ruric Thar for obvious reasons. And then we see another Surveil land, so we'll see if they're able to exile a creature with Ellie and Alan. Decides to keep whatever it is on top. So we've got a couple of players still holding up priority. The black and the Grixis player will take a damage from the Mana Vault. Not going to be untapping that, I wouldn't have thought. Terastodon we can't do. I'm thinking we just go Ohakaslam in with haste here and just swing straight down the middle. Give our opponent a difficult time choosing out what he uses spot removal on. Don't have to worry about Death Touch or Hexproof now at least. Priority held up by Be'lakor again. Let's go through to combat. We have to swing in with Ruric Thar, at which point in giving this haste if we're not going to swing in. So we'll take both of them in down the middle. If he blocks with Massacre Girl, then so be it. He loses his commander at least. Looks as though he's going to take it, so that is 9 commander damage. And we get the full 6 damage through with Caslam. So reveal the top 6 cards. We get a land and a creature. There's Goreclaw. Spinner of Souls might be a wise idea. Nyxbloom Ancient. I think we'll take Kessig Wolfram while we've got the chance. It's a shame that the mana's still a bit weird. I think we have to take Nyxbloom Ancient, although I'm tempted by the spinner because there might be a board wipe. We'll go Nyxbloom. The land comes into play untapped, but there's nothing we can do with the mana anyway. It'd be great to get down the Beast Whisperer. We'll just make it Kessig Wolfram. So now our opponents have to worry about multiple things on our side of the field, but hopefully they have to play non-creature spells in order to deal with them. This guy's down to 15 already, so a couple of hits from Ruric Thar will really hurt. Raphael, Fiendish Saviour, +1/+1 and lifelink on his stuff. And if a creature went into the graveyard from anywhere this turn, you get a Devil that can deal 1 damage when it dies. So these instantly buffed up to 2/4 lifelinkers. He does have to be concerned with blocks, so probably worth holding them back, unless he's eager to get into life gain. All of his opponents have less life than him now, so the Unclean One is going to make more tokens, so yeah, could probably swing in with these just for the sake of gaining life, going back up to his starting life total. The 5/6 goes towards Kenrith, so it gets him down to 23, then we all lose 2 life, and it'll be 3 demon tokens this time. Massacre Girl in play now still, and we see a Meathut Massacre where X is 5, so going to wipe out all of our creatures. Is this? That is 6 toughness, so I'll keep that. He's going to take out his own Massacre Girl as well, but board's getting wiped at least. Didn't think for a second we'd be untapping with the Nyxbloom Ancient though. Got time at least to build a little bit. We've got Beast Whisperer that we can play out even with a tapped land. But yeah, should have gone for that spider apparently. So Massacre Girl will trigger a bunch here. They'll draw a card whenever a creature an opponent controls dies with its toughness less than 1. Obviously your Meathut Massacres and your Toxic Deluges and things like that are going to minus down enough. The Ohakaslam will come out of the graveyard, so we've got an additional land next turn as well if we want. I don't think we're going to be untapping the Mana Vault. 1, 2, 3, 4... yeah. We could have bet, if we hadn't exerted this, we could have bet on drawing into a land next turn and then play Beast Whisperer, but yeah, it's probably best just going Beast Whisperer regardless. Oh, we've got Food Chain combo from Kenrith. Massacre Girl ended with 16 cards in hand, by the way. Has no max hand size thanks to the Ruric Tower. 20 life as well, he went down to 7 at one point. That is Ancient Cellar Spawn, followed by a Brainstorm from the Grixis player. So we're seeing a Demon Matters spell, making them cost 1 less from the non-demon player. So again, not going to untap the Mana Vault after exerting the Arena of Glory. And it would have been worth gambling if we hadn't had to exert that. Could have untapped and played the Beast Whisperer this turn. Get to play a land regardless though. Let's see about this. Yeah, we can only do it as a sorcery. So yeah, it's just a shame that this is remaining tapped. Again, could have transformed this with no means of haste at the moment. I think I'd rather have the Ohakaslam in play, to be honest. Especially for next turn. Let's go for that. Oh, we're actually a permanent shy, so we can't do that anyway. Alright, Beast Whisperer it is then. And we'll have to hope that it doesn't die to the Sarkhan's Unsealing next turn. Bellicor hit in play for the first time. When it enters, draw X and lose X, where X is the number of demons you control, so just drawing 1 card there. Sol Ring from Massacre Girl, 15 cards left in hand for the turn. Our opponents can now freely cast non-creature spells. And the commander straight back into play with 3 mana held up. Genesis Chamber makes tokens whenever a non-token enters. Seeing a trigger for Triumph of St. Catherine, which is a miracle. I can't remember what it does, but will that be in exile or reveal? Oh, there we are. It's a human warrior with lifelink 5/5. When it is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, exile it and the top 6 cards of your library face down. If you do, shuffle the pile, put it on top. And they cast that and blew up the Massacre Girl, thankfully, with the Sarkhan's Unsealing. Each opponent loses a life when our opponent's commander dies to the Meat Hut Massacre. They've triggered the Ancient Cellar Spawn as well. Whenever you cast a spell, if the amount of mana spent to cast it is less than the mana value, the target opponent loses life equal to the difference, so that is pointed at the demon player. And they took 3 there, I assume, because it's 5 minus 2 for the miracle cost. And that is a creature entering, of course, a non-token creature, so triggers Genesis Chamber for the first time. Gives us all more creatures that can be minus down into Massacre Girl. Our opponent's still got a decent amount of mana, so could still get rid of our Beast Whisperer with this. And yeah, there we go. A Skull Spore. The Ancient Cellar Spawn is going to be pointed at the Massacre Girl this time. Oh, that's actually not a creature, so it doesn't trigger the red enchantment. This is the one where you'll get a copy of a creature when it dies. And then continuing to go in at Massacre Girl, the 3/3 hits for some damage there as well. So luckily not comboing off with 2 cards in hand, doesn't do the Food Chain combo. I think we might be going for our commander again this turn. Draw into another land, so could we go Terastodon? Yeah, we could do that. Our commander's going to be 8 mana. I'm just trying to work out if we can go for the Exert on Arena of Glory again, because then next turn we'd have 3, 6, 7 and 8 mana, enough for our commander. So I think we can exert ourselves a Terastodon here. And we get to draw a card with the Beast Whisperer for the first time. And we draw into another land. So Genesis Chamber going to make us a token. Thinking we're going to swing in here for 9, 10, 11 damage. So hopefully this guy won't last much longer. Have to get rid of Food Chain. Probably best blowing up my own Mana Vault. And probably getting rid of this. It's tempting to get rid of all the non-creature, non-land permanents over here. But I think this is going to be too much of an issue, so get rid of that and give ourselves a blocker. Okay, there's a bunch of triggers on the stack now. I have to work out what the hell's going on. There is an Elder Deep Fiend. So you can cast this by sacrificing a creature and paying the emerge cost reduced by the mana value. And you tap some permanents when you do that. So I'm guessing that's coming from this player. Yeah, it is coming from the Kenrith player. And weirdly, tapping down our Terastodon. I mean, we weren't going to attack him, but I don't suppose he knows that. It's tapping down at our 1 land, another land from the Grixis player, our token. We'll still have a 3/3 held up at least. So in order to do that with the Eldrazi, he sacrificed his human warrior and has triggered the Meat Hut Massacre. Sarkhan's Unsealing is going to blow up Beast Whisperer. Didn't think that'd last too long. We're getting Ancient Cellar Spawn pointed at us. Triumph is going to exile some stuff as well, and Skullspore is going to make a token copy of it. So we're seeing our opponent's tricks early at least. Gets a 5/5 token into play. We go down to 23 off the Ancient Cellar Spawn. Our creature goes down like we said, so triggers Meat Hut Massacre for more life gain. Still get the Terrastodon tokens, but yeah, Kenrith is doing well on the board here. Pass it over to the demon player who still has his commander intact, so is able to throw some demons into play and throw some damage around. Decides on Arcane Signet first, and then a demon enters after that. That is Harvester of Souls, which cares about another non-token creature dying anywhere on the battlefield. We'll draw a card when that happens and ironically enter with a token. The Be'lakor doesn't like the look of the other demon matter stuff over there, so he's going to deal 5 damage to the 3/3. And that will trigger Skullspore Nexus. This is why I was looking over here in this direction, because makes another token in the form of a 3/3. Decides not to swing in with his 6/5 commander. Vampiric Tutor at the end step for the Massacre Girl. Might be seeing another board wipe here. I was looking at maybe going Blasphemous Act after swinging in next turn anyway. If we do go for a board wipe, or at least we see a board wipe, we have to decide if we want to go for our commander or the Temple of Cultivation. I think it kind of has to be our commander. And Urborg is now in play. Black Market is going to see creatures die to a board wipe, so you could still see one here. Generate him a lot of mana. Blood Artist, again, could be getting played before a board wipe. Enters with a Genesis Chamber token. And there we go, that's exactly what we were expecting. He's got more than 7 swamps. 9 swamps thanks to the Urborg, so I imagine everything's going down here, including our Terrastodon. Maybe he tutored for the Urborg just so that he could get the Terrastodon here as well. So there's a bunch of triggers. I'm hoping that this doesn't crash the client. Black Market going to be generating a hell of a lot of mana, like I said. Harvester of Souls is going to draw 4 cards. Meat Hut Massacre loses a couple of life. We each lose a couple of life, and then Blood Artist, not sure where that's been pointed, could deal with this player, but instead he's going after... Yeah, our opponents don't seem to be all that eager to focus on one player and take him out, but the Blood Artist doesn't seem to be getting pointed at us at least. It's all piling in at the demon player who, I'd be more concerned with Kenrith personally, although his permanents have been dealt with at least. He does have 6 cards in hand over here. During all this, it's all the excuse. Magic Online player needs to quit, so the demon player giving up. I think, wasting all the Blood Artist triggers that have been pointed over there. Don't think those would have, in fact they definitely wouldn't have taken him out, so kind of screwing over Massacre Girl there, wasting his triggers. So after all that, this player ends up at 16, we are at 21. And there's a whole lot of Blood Artist triggers to hopefully not crash the client with here. So Massacre Girl is at 27 after all that. And this has 16 counters on it. He's already got plenty of mana, but he's got a whole lot more now during his next turn. Kenrith back into play again, enters with a token. Then we have to try to make it another land for us. Have to try and make it more difficult for our opponents, so we'll go Ruric Thar, because I think there's going to be enough blockers to make it difficult for Castlem, unfortunately. So Ruric Thar into play with our Mere token, and probably just grab a tap land with the Windswept Heath. So Black Market Connections allowed to untap with that and make himself 16 mana during the first main phase. 11 cards in hand. Massacre Girl into play again, down to 8 mana. Vein Ripper, that is a souped up Blood Artist. Whenever a creature dies, target opponent is drained for 2. See if our opponent can dodge the damage from Ruric Thar. Another board wipe. Ugh, Massacre Girl. So first off, it'll be -4/-4 and everything, thanks to the Mere token. And then a bunch of other triggers. I just assume everything's going down here. Yeah, bad matchup for us. Our opponent's got the creature-based board wipes available to him to play into Ruric Thar. Anyway, Meat Hut Massacre, we each lose 2 life. Vein Ripper is going to be pointed at us 4 times. Nope, he's spreading the damage around with that. So we'll just see where we end up. I assume we each get 2. And then Black Market Connections gets 4 more, so that'll have 20 counters on it, I think. Gains a couple of life with the Meat Hut Massacre and his tokens dying. There's more death triggers to come yet. Massacre Girl going to draw a couple of cards, and there we see the 4 triggers on the stack for the original. So he stacked it so that he's drawing cards from his commander first. He might be able to save his commander here if he gets into some kind of instant speed undying type effect. That might be what he's aiming for. So there we see the commander go down, and that will put another trigger on Massacre Girl, which will kill the Kenrith, putting another trigger on, which will end up killing our Ruric Thar. And we get a Vein Ripper pointed at us there as well. Another counter on the black market. And so death triggers again. We see Kenrith go down like we said, so Skull Spore is going to get another effect there. Get another dinosaur token into play. Vein Ripper again. It's all just rinse and repeat at this point, so whatever happens, happens, and I'll see what our life total is at the end of it. Amazingly, all those triggers clear off the stack without crashing the client here, so we end up at 9, our opponent ends up at 6. Still got 10 cards in hand and a bunch of mana, so I wonder if he could have had us there. Plays Thought Vessel. So with 9 cards in hand, a bunch of mana held up, he passes over to Kenrith, who has 3 cards in hand. Alright, just decides to pass the turn and do nothing. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 mana held up. Primordial Sage, can we afford to transform this? I mean, it's just yet another commander game in which you struggle to keep creatures in play. I don't like what's happened to the format over the multiple years where it just turns into who can combo off first and your creatures are just part of combos. I used to like Battlecruiser Magic much more than this, but unfortunately that's not the spot we're in. So we have to play it out in the state the game is currently in. We can afford to transform our land. It does enter tap, so haste wouldn't have mattered anyway. We'll get down the Primordial Sage either, which I doubt will do anything. Could have exerted that as well and swung in, but I'm not really looking to take this player out anymore. It has to be a 2v1. So we get a Genesis token, and we'll see if the black player can end it this turn. Makes 25 mana off the enchantment. Getting his commander into play again, has plenty of surplus mana to just keep replaying it. Lightning Greaves. Ascendant Evankar is going to minus down our Genesis tokens permanently, so whenever we play a creature, we'll get the token into play, it'll die, and draw a card to Massacre Girl. Meat Hut Massacre is going to continue to bleed us as well. 5/5 turns in at us, we're going to have to block here. Yeah, he's going to deal. We go down either way here. Both of them have menace, so yeah, we go down here. Yeah, I'm thinking, I occasionally do. I did this with Will Helt the Rock Cleaver recently. I tried to build it as like zombie creatures, battlecruiser, fun magic. And upon playtesting realised that it's just not going to work in modern Commander. Much as I'd love to just slam down zombies and turn them in sideways or crash our toys into each other, it's just not the way the format's played anymore, as much as I'd love it to be so. And it's the same with this. I built it as a creature build, as we saw there, and you just can't keep your creatures in play. So I think I might rebuild Ruric Thar. I do like it as a commander. I think we might have to do it as stacks, as much as I shudder to even utter those words. Really don't like stacks, but wizards keep printing powerful card after powerful card and really pushing power creep. Ultimately, it's up to the players as well, the types of games they want to play. So Kenrith just passes through the turn twice in a row. Keeps the 3 cards in hand, doesn't do anything, and is just valiantly taking the damage here, assuming that he doesn't have some kind of bounce spell. So there we go, Massacre Girl taking us down there. I think that was an interesting game regardless to show you all, so hopefully you all enjoyed it. Just unfortunately didn't really see much from Ruric Thar. If you do want to see that stacks variant, then be sure to let me know. And I will see you all in the next one, I hope. Massive thank you to the patrons for their financial support as ever. I'm tribalkai. Thank you for watching.